Hello, can you hear me, guys? Okay. Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me, guys? Send me a high five. Send me a high five, guys. Send me a high five. Come on. Come on, Soreen, Ria. Fantastic. Do we have Smith here? Smith, Avni. Come on. Okay. So, guys, okay, sorry. Yeah. So, guys, today we are going to start with absolutely correct. Okay. Tax invoice, debit note, and credit note. Tax invoice, debit note, and credit note. Absolutely correct. Okay. Now understand, in this case, we are going to understand something very important, that understand tomorrow what happens is that there is a supplier. Right? Why is this chapter created? Why is this chapter created on the first place, Smith? Right? That's what we are trying to understand. Let's say there is a supplier, there is a recipient. Now, supplier has sold the goods, right, to the recipient when on 1st of April. Recipient has also made the payment on 1st of April. Right? Now, the thing is, supplier has not issued invoice to the recipient. He issued invoice way back later on 1st of December. Now, understand that in this case, the recipient will also get the ITC on 112, and his working capital will be majorly blocked. And that is very much incorrect. That he has made the payment in the month of April and he will get ITC in December. Okay, it's very, very, very incorrect on the end of the recipient. And all of this is happening because of whose mistake? Supplier's mistake. Because of whose laziness? Supplier's laziness. It's supplier's reckless attitude, okay, of which recipient has to pay the consequences for. So government then said, okay, listen, supplier, we will affix some limitations at your end. If you adhere to those limitations, if you issue invoice within those limitations, fair enough, great, good, you are safe. But if not, then you will be subject to a penalty under section 122 subsection 3 of CGST Act, up to 25,000 rupees per transaction. ठीक So supplier realized, okay, damn, I am in a fix. I cannot pay such big amounts of penalty. So let me do one thing. Let me study this chapter called Tax Invoice, Debit Note, and Credit Note. Right? And let me understand which are the situations that talk about a certain matter, okay, for which we can understand the time limits of the respective cases. That's it. That's it. Okay, perfect. Take it. So we will understand the situations and we will understand the time limits in relation to those situations. Simple. As simple as that. Got it? Perfect. Take it. So the entire chapter is about that. Okay. And the best part is, since yesterday we did time of supply, a lot of them you already know. So I won't be even discussing them. Okay. I will just rush it through. Right. For example, in goods, in case of movement of goods, on or before date of removal is the last date. In case of no movement, date of delivery. In case of continued supply of goods, date of issuance of statement of accounts or date of payment, whichever is earlier. And in case of goods sent on approval for sale or return, very simple. Okay, date when the goods have been approved by the recipient, or very simple, date of 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. A lot of students actually end up asking me that, sir, uh, what if the approval is not within 6 months? Simple. It is deemed considered that the goods have been sold. So let's say 1/4 was the date of removal. If the approval does not come by 1/10, simple. Okay, as soon as 110 expires, you are supposed to issue invoice to the recipient. It will be deemed considered that you have supplied goods. Sir, but what if finally does not approve it, he disapproves it? Because he had the time limit of approving till 112 and he said on 111 that I don't want it simple. It will be considered as a sales return transaction and that will be accompanied with credit note. Right? So the opposite person will send me the goods and I will issue the credit note. Okay, not a big deal. Okay, whatever liability you have, okay, shot up because of including it as sales. Now you will have to reverse it by issuing credit note. Is that very clear? Perfect. Okay. So that's it. That's with respect to supply of goods. So the goods part is completely sorted. Absolutely done. Next, my dear friends, is service. Now understand, in case of services, there are two issues. Okay. One is understand that one is the normal time of service. Okay. One time service. In case of one time services, you have to issue invoice within 30 days of date of completion of service. So let's say, for example, okay, I tell you that I will teach you GST in 10 days. So 10 days is the date of completion of service, the 10th day. And from there, 30 days I will count. And very simple, I will issue invoice within those 30 days. Is that very clear? Yes. If I do that within 30 days, it will be considered as if I have issued invoice at the right time. But when it comes to banks and BFC insurance companies, in that case, that 30 days will be replaced by 45 days. Okay? Is that very clear, my dear friends? Are you all getting it? Are you all getting it? Say yes, say yes, say yes. Fatavat, fatavat, fatavat. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Okay. Now, understand there is a proviso to rule 31 subsection 2. Okay, that is basically with respect to one time service. So, in this, there are four cases that you need to understand. And this is only applicable to four industries that I'm talking about. Again, banks, NBFCs, telecom companies, and insurance companies. Right? And I'm not talking about 45 days, I'm talking about proviso, which is a completely altogether a different time limit. So you're basically the transaction needs to happen between two branches, two distinct person, which we have understood in 25.4 and 25.5, 25.4 and 25.5. Team supply 7.1c, team supply 7.1c. I am able to recollect, guys. I am able to recollect. Say yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Now the thing is, my dear friends, very simple. That firstly you have to see the question that okay, which are the four cases? Very simple: bank, NBFCs, insurance companies, and in addition telecom companies. And in that case, if one branch is giving service to another branch, for example, Jio Limited Mumbai is giving service to Jio Limited Ahmedabad, right? Let's say Axis Bank Mumbai is giving service to Axis Bank Delhi. These are basically giving service to each other. Same fraternity, my branch only, my branch only. Branch, not holding subsidiary, not holding subsidiary. Holding subsidiary is a relationship which gets covered under related person. But branch is a relationship which is covered under distinct person. Correct? Yes. In that case, the concept is very simple. In that case, what government says is on or before date when supply records supply of service in his books of accounts or expiry of the quarter in which supply was made, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. Perfect, absolutely correct. Okay. I will getting it, Ria. Sorry, Smith. Ria, sorry, Smith, and other four people who are actually watching it. Please give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. Say yes, sir. We understand. Say yes, sir. We are following up. Okay. Yes. Next. Next, my dear friends. Okay. So understand this very clearly. So, for example, let's say this. Let's say, for example, in this case, if I just give you a sum that on 1/4, let's say service was supplied. Let's say, for example, on 10/4, okay, supplier records in his books of accounts that service is supplied, right? Now understand this is one date that you are concerned about, and the second date that you are concerned about is expiry of the quarter, that is 31st. Sorry. So understand the service was given in April. So April falls in the first quarter, April, May, June, and which is why in that case 30th June, whichever is earlier. Is that very clear? Yes, is that very clear? Absolutely. That's the spirit, Avni. That's the spirit, MS. That's the spirit, Sorin. So happy to see that. Okay. Looks like yesterday everyone was holidaying. It was a Sunday. We need a break. Absolutely correct. Okay. Yes, you need a break, but I don't. Okay. And which is why even yesterday I was on time taking lectures because I know that this is helping some or the other person out there. So there was this female called Akila. She's a married woman, guys. Right. And she has left CA since last 2 years. And she's taken up again, and I see her messages that I was able to, start GST because of you, and that touched my heart. And I'm like, damn, even if there is bloody one viewer out there, I'm going to make sure that I show up and I deliver the lecture because it is helping some or the other guys. And that's how you start, right? That's how you start. You cannot just start your business and some 800, 8,000 customers or students waiting for you to take the lecture. That's not how business happens. In business, you start small, dream big. Start small, dream big. Right? And that's the mantra that I have taken up in my life, my dear friends. Okay. So now that is the case, my dear friends. Okay, with respect to Proviso to 31.2. Now, when it comes to continuous supply of service, okay, when it comes to continuous supply of service, my dear friends, understand that whenever you are giving service on a recurrent basis for more than 3 months, in that case, it's a classic case of continuous supply of service. Now, in that case, my dear friends, understand there are three situations. First is where the due date of payment, is ascertainable. Third is where the due date of payment is unascertainable. And fourth is where the payment is actually linked to completion of an event. Where the payment is actually linked to completion of it. First is due date is ascertainable. So, for example, I am the landlord, you are the tenant. I am continuously giving you service for a period of next 12 months, which is obviously more than 3 months. Hence, it's a classic example of continuous supply of service. In this case, we affix a date that boss, अगले महीने की 5 तारीख को you will pay me the consideration. Okay. Okay, next month ka 5th तारीख you fifth date you will pay me the consideration, that is the rent. So April you pay on 5th of May, May ka 5th June, so on and so forth. So is the date affixed? Is the date ascertainable? Yes. Now all you need to do as a supplier, as a landlord, I will do is what? Issue invoice on or before 5th of May, on or before 5th of June. I will ideally raise it on first only, so that he remembers that he needs to pay the rent, and that's why he has 3-4 days within which he can pay me the rent. Okay, so the date is ascertainable. In that case, the invoice will be issued on or before due date of payment. Second, when the due date is unascertainable, so what happens is that you are continuously giving service and recipient, it's not decided when the recipient will actually land up paying the money. And that does happen a lot in coaching business, where I tell you, son, better, you sit in the class. Any which ways, okay, I am teaching these 100 students. If you will sit, it's just an incremental thing for me. If you take, you take. If you don't take, get lost. I'm sorry, as in, you can move on, not an issue. Okay, there is no separate added cost that will come to me if I make you sit there, right? And which is why, my dear friends, all I want to tell you is very simple. In that case, he can decide to pay me the fees after 5 days, 10 days, 20 days. I have given him a lock-in period of a time limit of 1 month. That within 1 month you decide. And it can also happen that he does not land up paying you. Anything can happen. So there is no fixed date that is decided. Right? And which is why, my dear friends, in this case, whenever he makes the payment, that is the time I will issue the invoice. Whenever he makes the payment, that is the time I will issue the invoice, right? At the time of payment. And third is where payment is linked to completion of any work, right? So what happens is, specifically this happens in construction service, where I am a builder, you are the buyer. I will construct one floor, you will make the payment. Second floor, make the payment. Third floor, make the payment. In this, the date of completion of a floor is an event. Date of completion of a floor is an event. Okay. And the money that you give me, okay, is when the event gets completed. Now that event can take 1 month, 1 day, or 1 year, but only when that event triggers will you pay me. Only when that event triggers you pay me. As simple as that. As simple as that. Right? And I'll give you the best example that can go in all the three. Coaching is the best example. For example, I'll tell you. Let's say, um, let's say, as you know that now I am running my own institution and I've started with my own classes and own YouTube channel, and I'll be selling soon my own courses, right? Now understand, if I'm taking a live batch, right? Uh, right, then in that case, understand I'm teaching you, and let's say that teaching period goes on for a period of, let's say, 4 months. Let's say 4 months, right? In that case, you understand, I have told the recipient that okay, you can pay me the installments. April, April, May, June, July. That's how you can, chip it off. The opposite person is fine. So do you realize here the classic cases where the due date of payment is ascertainable? So every time he makes the payment, let's say fees is, let's say, 1 lakh, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. That's how I will raise invoices. When the due date is unascertainable, I've already given an example. I'm taking demo lectures. If someone is interested, I let him in the Zoom session. And if he's okay with it, if he understands, he will pay the money. Otherwise, he will not pay. Not ascertainable. And third is where the payment is linked to completion of an event. So I tell you that listen, as soon as GST gets over, you will pay me 50%. As soon as custom gets over, you pay me other 30%. As soon as FTP is over, you pay me the other 20%. So that's called completion of an event, where I'm defining an event for you, right? And that event can take as much time. For example, how much time GST will take, maybe an FTP will not take, maybe it will not take, right? But you will have to pay me the money, right? So that's how it is, okay? And that's how it's a classic case of, my dear friends, with respect to issue of invoice, with respect to continuous supply of service, whether due date is ascertainable, unascertainable, and where the payment is linked to completion of an event. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Fantastic, fantastic, MS, fantastic. Sorry. If you all are getting it, show me a thumbs up. Show me a thumbs up, right? And also, guys, also, I want you all to comment in the comment section which are the other chapters you all really want me to revise फटाफट से. Okay, the next chapter I'm actually planning is registration. Tell me if there's anything else that you are really willing कि सर ये फटाफट से पढ़ा ही दो, right? And I would really want to teach what you want me to teach rather than what I think I should teach, right? Yeah, so we are going amazing. The speed is amazing, and just keep on attending this 1 to 2 hours का lecture every day, and आपका GST फटाक से revise हो जाएगा. Avni, are you getting some confidence? Avni, are you getting some confidence? Since, if I'm not wrong, you were not done with GST classes, something like that. Are you confident? Are you getting that confidence? कि नहीं हो जाएगा, हो जाएगा. It will happen. It will happen. Please let me know in the comment section. Please, 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 please. Okay, fantastic. So that is it, my dear friends. That is with respect to goods, and that is with respect to service. Okay. Next is, my dear friends, when we talk about 31 subsection 3 clause A. Okay, that is revised tax invoice. Revised tax invoice. Understand, when I talk about revised tax invoice, my dear friends, what do I mean by that? Very simple, my dear friends. When I talk about revised tax invoice, what I mean is that, understand, right? On understand, on 1/4 I start my business. Understand, on 1/4, okay, I start my business, right? And the second is, let's say, on 5/4 I apply for registration certificate within 30 days. And on 10/4, very simple, my dear friends, on 10/4, 10/4, 10/4, 10/4, 10/4, right? Uh, I get the RC, grant of RC. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. Grant of RC, grant of RC, grant of RC. Right? Now understand, whenever you Okay, start your business. I'm so sorry. Whenever you become liable to register, that is when you exceed 20 lakhs, you apply for RC within 30 days and you get your registration. Understand, whenever you apply your registration within 30 days, the effective date of registration, the effective date of registration, very simple. Very, 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 very simple. The effective date of registration, my dear friends, will be date of becoming liable to register. So that is the day when you actually become a registered person. Though you got your RC on 10/4, but you are actually registered from 1/4. So whatever supplies you make from 1/4, you will be subject to GST in that case. Now what government says that, listen, in this case, you are supposed to, whatever supplies you do from 1/4, you are supposed to pay GST to government. Right. And you are also charging GST. So you are charging, let's say, 11 lakh 80 full amount. And when the opposite person asks, why have you charged 1 lakh 80? You have not even written GST number, because GST number is what I received on 10/4. And if that person sees that on 1/4 only I have started charging him GST, whereas the RC that I've got it on 10/4. So understand, on 1/4 I'm charging GST, but there is no GST-IN. There is no GST-IN. He will question me, how dare you charge me GST? Then I will tell him, listen, I have applied for GST, but it has not come yet. It has not come yet. So do one thing. Right now, instead of 11 lakh 80, you just pay me 10 lakh. 1 lakh 80 you pay me when I issue you a revised tax invoice. I issue you a revised tax invoice where you will clearly be able to see my GST and take ITC. And take ITC. Right? So I am issuing a revised tax invoice just for you. You registered person, you. For you, I will be issuing revised tax invoice so that you can take this. Got it? Yes. So, date from becoming liable to register up to date of grant of RC, whatever supplies I make, whatever supplies I make, I am supposed to issue RTI with respect to those supplies to all the registered recipients, because it is the registered recipients only who will take the ITC within 1 month from the date of grant of RC. Because only when RC comes will I get my GST, and only when I will get my GST and will I be able to issue RTI. Because the only difference between original invoice and RTI, is just one. That original invoice does not have GST number and RTI does have GST number. So as soon as, okay, I get my GST on 1/4, within 1 month, that is by 10/5, within 1 month, that is 10/5, right? I am supposed to issue a revised tax invoice. Is that very clear? Is that very clear? ठीक है? That's it. Okay. So first point, all the recipients who are basically registered recipients, I will issue them revised tax invoice for which period any supplies that you've done from becoming liable to register up to date of grant of RC, and कब तक issue करना है RTI? Till when can I issue RTI? Very simple. Within 1 month from the date of grant of RC, right? 1 month from the date of grant of RC, because as soon as I have GST number, within 1 month. Understand, there is a difference between 1 month and understand there is a difference between 30 days. And I'll tell you why. For example, 1st July है, वहां से if I ask you to count 1 month, that's 1/8, right? And if I ask you to count 30 days, then it is 30/7. Is that clear, my dear friends? Yes. An entire quarter can be changed because of it, right? Sometimes one date here and there. Okay? So be very, 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 very clear. Okay. Don't worry at all. Don't worry at all. Okay? Perfect. Okay. So just remember there is a difference between calculating 1 month and 30 days. 1 month, all you have to do is change the month. Keep the date same. Right? But when it comes to my dear friends, okay, 30 days, count from the next day. Count from the next day. So if you are counting from month 7 and if you know that in the month of July there are 31 days, okay, one ke baad you have to start counting. And in that case, 30 days are remaining, right? And the 30th day will get completed on 31st of July. Okay, I hope I have made myself very, very, very clear. Okay, yeah. Also, the fact that my dear friends understand, also the fact that my dear friends understand that in this scenario, okay, in this scenario, as I said, from 1/4 to 10/4, correct? From 1/4 to 10/4. What I am trying to tell you is, okay, that all the recipients were registered and the registered recipients needed ITC, which is why I had to issue RTI. What if during that period, from 1/4 to 10/4, what if supplier is selling goods to unregistered recipients? Supplier is selling goods or service to unregistered recipients. In that case, what will happen? Very simple, my dear friends. In that case, you will not issue individual revised tax invoice. You will not issue individual revised tax invoice. You will just issue a consolidated revised tax invoice, which also I will say you will not issue, you will raise and keep it with yourself only. You are not going to give it to the unregistered recipient because there is no point giving this to unregistered recipient because the unregistered recipient is least concerned about having an invoice with GSTN or without GSTN. He has absolutely no need. No need. Why will he need it? Because any which ways he is not getting ITC in any scenario. He is not getting ITC in any scenario, right? So you will just issue consolidated tax invoice. You will record all the buyer's name, the value of goods that you've supplied or service that you've supplied, the GST amount, and just keep it for your own record that these are the recipients that you have supplied goods to during this period. That's it. You are not going to issue 1% RTI the way you are going to issue it with respect to registered recipient. The registered recipient will need it because that is an important document for him to avail ITC. And which is why when you refer ITC chapter, which is why in ITC chapter you check out the prescribed documents with the help of which you can avail ITC 16.2a. 16.2a. In that, understand there is a mention of revised tax invoice. In that, there is a mention of revised tax invoice. ITC chapter 16.2a, first page. Got it? Yes. Okay. That's how it is. Acha. But understand, my dear friends, if your recipient is unregistered, right? If your recipient is unregistered and supplier makes supply, but which is this supply? Interstate supply. Which is the supply? Interstate supply. And when it comes to interstate supply, the concept is very, very, very simple. Okay. The value of supplier exceeds 2.5 lakhs. The value of supply exceeds 2.5 lakhs, right? Per transaction, right? So if that happens, then in that case, okay, make sure that you particularly issue a individual revised tax invoice to that recipient. इसका कोई use नहीं है as such, it's just for the sake of it, but you have to do it anyway. Okay. So for example, if I am in Mumbai and Avni is in, let's say, Gujarat, is that an interstate supply? Yes. Correct. In that case, the value of supply was 5 lakhs. I have to issue a revised tax invoice separately to Avni. Is that very clear, Avni? Yes. Okay. Is that very clear, Heath? Akila, MS, Sorin, Ria, are you all with me? Are you understanding? Show me a thumbs up. Show me a thumbs up. Okay, right. So that is where we are done, my dear friends, with 31.3a, where we first understood when is RTI to be issued, within which period, 1 month it's to be issued from the date of grant of RC. If recipient is what unregistered, then consolidated. If recipient is unregistered but there is interstate supply where the value of supply is more than 2.5 lakhs, again individual revised tax invoice. Is that very clear, my dear friends? I will able to follow this up. I will able to understand what I'm trying to say. This is what I was trying to say. Do you guys have the notes with me? Do you have the guys? Do you guys have the notes that I have provided with you? Are you writing in that? Keep writing in that. Keep writing in that, guys. Right? Very, very, very important, right? And make sure that these are the same notes that you are going to refer on your last day. Same other promise. Same other promise. Yes, sir. I will, I will refer this on the last day. I will finding this exhaustive. If yes, then type EX in the comment section so that I can understand. Okay, that yes, you all are understanding, and this is really helping you, and this will help you tremendously on the last day of the exam. Right? Yes. Next is my dear friends. फटाफट से क्या है 31.3b. 31.3b is my dear friends consolidated tax invoice. What do you mean by consolidated tax invoice, my dear friends? Very simple. Understand, if I'm a small retailer and I am basically dealing on a day-to-day basis with a consumer who's basically an unregistered person, right? Where I'm actually supplying goods worth rupees less than 200. Yeah, less than 200. And he is frankly not even concerned about asking for the invoice. Because what? Why will he ask? Right? Why will he ask? He will pay the money, collect the goods, and get lost. Right? He does not have anything to do with the invoice. Understand? So if there are three conditions, value of supply is less than 200, right? Recipient is unregistered, and recipient does not require invoice, then in that case, understand, I will not issue an individual invoice to recipients. Understand how funny will it be? Let's say if there are 100 kids lined up, okay, outside my shop, and every kid is asking, sir, please eclair, please, sir, melody, please, sir, panpara, please, sir, dhana dal, please. What the hell, yaar? This is for costing 1 rupee, 2 rupees. उसमें understand what GST will I charge and what invoice will I raise. The cost of my billing, okay, billing, printing out the bills will be more than the money I make from these goods. Bloody. Are you understanding? Right. So only for the convenience, okay, purpose of all the retailer government said, you don't need to issue a separate invoice for this. Record these transactions, keep them with yourself in or under the name of consolidated tax invoice. Right? You don't need to issue a separate invoice for such small, meager, petty transactions. Okay? And the word that they have used is less than 200, less than 200, less than 200. Is that very clear? I would rather ask you to not remember less than 200. I would rather ask you to remember that is 199. Is that very clear? Understand, in the entire GST, whenever they have commented about monetary limits, in the entire CGST Act, whenever they have commented about monetary limits, like for example, 200, फिर आगे exemptions में you will come across 500, 1,50,000, then you will come across a lot of such cases, right? In that case, understand one thing. There are only two cases where they have always mentioned less than 200, yeah, less than 1,000. In this case and the other cases where there is exemption of charitable trust providing rooms or shops or marriage halls for less than 10,000, right? For less than 1,000, right? So that is the only case. Otherwise, everywhere the nomenclature that they have used is up to, 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 right? Up to 500, up to 1,50,000, up to 7,500. That is the nomenclature that they have used. So whatever monetary limit is there, it includes the limit, right? So it's only 31.3b and that exemption of charitable institution where this lafada is happening, this Joel Zapata is happening, my dear friends. Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. Also, understand in 31.3b, my dear friends, there is a small note that I want to give you. that in case of multiplex theaters, where they are exhibiting these cinematographic films, they do not deserve this benefit of 31(3)(b), and they will always, always, always issue an invoice, even if the transaction value is 50 rupees, 100 rupees, or anything like that, which is less than okay, 200, right? So understand one thing, my dear friends, the concept is very simple, that in case of multiplex theaters, you will always issue an invoice, a separate invoice. That separate invoice will also be in the form of e-ticket. So always remember, whenever you now go to PVR, whenever you now go to Inox or Cinemax, right, you will always get the ticket, irrespective of whichever city you are, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, it does not matter. You will always get it in your WhatsApp. Recollect it. Tell me the last movie you went to see. Which was the last movie you went to see? Akila, Smith, Zaveri, Avni. Tell me, which is the last movie you went to see? In that case, if you recollect it again, the entire ticket was available on WhatsApp. Okay, that's how it is. So for a multiplex, 31(3)(b) option does not exist. Okay, 31(3)(b) option does not exist. Okay, yes. Next, my dear friends, is very simple, 31(3)(c). So if you are a compo taxpayer, or if you are a supplier who is actually supplying exempted goods or service, understand one thing. It's only the taxable person who collects tax, pays tax, collects tax, pay tax, collects tax, pay tax, right? But in this case, they are not doing that. Is a compo taxpayer ever collecting GST? No. Is a person who's just supplying exempted goods or service, is he charging GST? No. So what is the document that they will issue at the time of movement of goods? Government said bill of supply. Array, bill of supply. Subject, right? Correct. Okay. Perfect. Also understand, just write a small note here, and just write a small note saying that if the value of supply is less than 200 plus recipient is unregistered person plus bill of supply is not required. Understand, in that case, you will not issue an individual bill of supply. You will just issue a consolidated bill of supply. Got it? The same concept of tax invoice applies here, even in case of bill of supply. But ensure karna that when you are checking this, you just check that the value of supply is less than those two. So 199 or less than 199, 199 or less than 190. Okay. Only then will you issue consolidated tax invoice. Consolidated tax invoice. Okay. Yes. Next is, my dear friends, rule 49. Concept is very, very simple. Understand that if I am a retailer and I am a registered person, but understand my recipient, okay, is an unregistered person. Now, sometimes he purchases taxable goods, sometimes he purchases exempted goods. So, what will happen in this case? For taxable goods, I will have to issue tax invoice. For exempted goods, I will issue bill of supply. Now, recipient is saying, what different documents are you giving me? Sometimes you give me a tax invoice, sometimes you give me bill of supply. You decide what you want to give. Why are you giving so many papers? Am I supposed to make a boat out of it? Am I supposed to be action zero out of it? No, no. Give me one document. No, no. Give me one document. No. So that is what intrigued the suppliers, and that is where the suggestion came in. That if supplier is registered and recipient is unregistered, he is least concerned with what kind of document he is getting. Right? He is not concerned whether he is getting tax invoice, or he is not concerned whether he is getting bill of supply. He will get a document which will act as a receipt for him. Very simple. So, which is why government said that in such cases where the supplier is only selling taxable goods also, exempted also, taxable also, exempt also, taxable also, exempt also, then in that case you will issue invoice company of supply. You will issue invoice company of supply, right? But understand. My question is, now this is outside the purview of 49, but I'm just asking you as a general knowledge. And what if the recipient is a registered recipient? In that case, what will a registered supplier land up doing? What kind of document will he issue if the recipient is registered and not unregistered? Please type, guys. Please type. Correct. If the recipient is registered, my dear friends, they will issue tax invoice in case of taxable supplies, and they will issue bill of supply in case of exempted supplies. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Right? Perfect. Then, my dear friends, we have 313D, 313E, F, G. E, D, E, F, G. And then we have delivery challan, and then other cases, and then debit note, credit note, and then we are almost done. Done. Okay. Understand one thing. So, for example, if I am the supplier, you are the recipient, you give me advance for the goods or service that I am supposed to give you in future. Then in that case, understand one thing. You give me advance, I will at that juncture give you receipt voucher, right? Which will basically be a document evidencing payment so that tomorrow if I deny, you are the one to tell me you have written it and given me this that you have received the money. Now how can you deny it later? So cut the crap and stop acting. Okay. Perfect. So when I receive advance, I will issue receipt voucher. But when I'm actually supplying goods or services, I will issue a tax invoice on the basis of which you can take ITC. So you can take ITC on the basis of tax invoice. You cannot take ITC on the basis of advance. Ka receipt voucher that you have got. Okay. Next. 313 refund voucher. In this case, you as a recipient have given me advance. At that time, I had given you receipt voucher. Second, I was supposed to make some supply, but there was some disagreement between us. And now that supply that was supposed to happen is not going through, is not going through. And which is why, my dear friends, in this case, and which is why, my dear friends, in this case, okay, I will return you the refund back. And while I'm returning you the refund, while I'm returning you the advance back, I will at the same time issue receipt voucher. I will at the same time issue refund voucher. I will sit down, issue refund voucher. At the same time, issue refund voucher. So when I'm receiving advance, receipt voucher. When I'm refunding you the advance back, refund voucher. Is that very clear, guys? Is that very clear? Heath, MS, Avni, Smith, Akila, is the speed correct? I will understanding. I will getting it. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Now, next is, my dear friends, delivery challan. In case of delivery challan, my dear friends, there are three cases. Okay. Understand. Delivery challan is specifically made in those cases which are not covered by supply. So one crazy example that will come here is all those cases which are covered under a situation, a transaction where the case is not a supply. Then in that case, when you have to remove the goods from a factory, what will you issue? Will you issue tax invoice? No. Will you issue bill of supply? No. You will issue delivery challan. Because understand the transaction that is happening is not a supply only. There is no sale of goods only, right? But understand if there is a supply, tax invoice or bill of supply, depending on whether the goods are taxable or exempt. But in case there is, it is not a supply only. For example, sales return. Is it a supply? No. Sales return is sales return. You are returning the goods back. So you are not selling me, you are sending me. You are not selling me, you are sending me. So in that case, you will have to issue delivery challan. In case of transportation of goods from principal to jobber, where basically I am sending you cloth and you are making shirt out of it and sending it back to me. Where I am giving you gold and you are making jewelry out of it and sending it back to me. Does that mean you have sold jewelry to me? No. Does that mean I have sold gold biscuits to you? No. No. It's just that it's a part of goods on which you are doing certain activity which is necessary for you to do because your job is only to basically carry out treatment or process on another person's goods. And what you do is basically called service, right? So in that case, understand when I am sending you that cloth from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, that will have delivery challan because I'm not selling you the cloth. I am sending you the cloth. After stitching, you will make sure that you send me the shirt and I wear it. Gotcha. Okay. So that is another thing. Now the third thing, understand that if I'm supplying liquid gas, but the quantity of liquid gas is not known at the time of supply. So on what basis will I issue invoice? I don't know the quantity only. What will I multiply it with? Right? There is no rate that I can multiply it with. The quantity is only unknown. The quantity is unknown. Okay, even though there is a rate available, there is no value that we have. तो किस पे जीएसटी लगाएंगे? On what will I charge GST, right? And which is why that will be the case, right? So there are three things: where the supply of liquid gas, where the quantity at the time of removal from the place of business of supplier is not known, goods supplied to job worker, and third is transportation of goods by reasons other than supply. Classic example, sales return. ठीक है? Done. Also understand delivery challan is issued in triplicate. Okay, consignee, transporter, consigner, consignee, transporter, consigner. Okay. Next is my dear friends. Next is my dear friends. Understand, understand, understand. That yes. Which are the cases where you are issuing invoice but not in the form of invoice, in the form of something else? So, for example, supplier of passenger transportation service, supplier of passenger transportation service, right? So, for example, if you take a ticket in a train, if you take a ticket in a BST bus, okay, once you pay the money, do they issue invoice? No, they issue a ticket, and that ticket only will be deemed considered as what? Invoice. Second, multiplexes, they issue e-tickets. Now, that e-ticket will be deemed considered as what? E-invoice. Okay, sorry, e-ticket. E-invoice तो अलग ही हो गया concept. E-ticket, my bad. Okay. And the third is insurance company, banking company, financial institutions, including NBFC. Understand, my dear friends. Okay. For example, understand that in that case, let's say there is a supplier, Axis Bank. They are giving me services for the month of, let's say, April. What kind of services are they giving? On 1/4, debit card. On 2/4, credit card. On 3/4, locker charges, check charges, broking charges. Understand, in this case, ideally what should have happened, pata? Debit card का अलग invoice, credit card का different invoice, check का different invoice, locker का different invoice. Now, banks did not want this. The bank said that, listen, Mr. Case is not going anywhere. He's a loyal customer. So let's do one thing. Let's not individually send them the invoice. Let's send them a consolidated invoice, where all the 10 services are listed. Okay, you levy GST on that. The recipient pays it and he gets the ITC. He gets the IT. Okay, perfect. Okay, okay. Now we are left with, my dear friends, very simple things: debit note, credit note, and at the same time, okay, expiry of goods ka concept. And last is e-invoice and dynamic QR code. ठीक है? Okay. 7:30 हुआ है guys. It's 7:30. Take a short 15-minute break. Come by 7:45. Okay. And from 7:45 to 8:45, we will wrap up our discussion and wrap up the entire tax invoice, debit note, credit note. ठीक है? फिर और एक छोटा सा, शायद 15 मिनट का, 10 मिनट का, we will take a break. and 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. ओके, कौन सा हो अपना इंट्रोडक्शन, चार्जिंग सेक्शन, आरसीएम, सप्लाई, टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई, टैक्स इनवॉइस। 6 चैप्टर हो गया है गाइज। आई वांटेड टू टेक वाइवास ऑफ दिस, टेल मी व्हेन कैन आई टेक टुमारो और डे आफ्टर? गाइज आई एम आस्किंग यू ऑल, इट वोंट टेक मोर देन some 1 hour of your day max, but the entire thing will be revised like this. I want you to reply on this. Don't behave like dead people. Because I had promised you all that after 6 chapters, we will do a Q&A. We will do a Viva session. So let's keep it day after. Day after looks good, Smith, I feel. So what is the day today? It is 21st. 23rd August, we will keep it. Okay. 23rd August, we'll keep. We'll keep it around, let's say 10 a.m. Looks good. उठ जाते हो तभी आप? Let's keep it at 10 a.m. Okay. I will certainly make a post and a reminder भेज दूंगा मैं आपको ग्रुप पे. But yeah, for these 4 chapters, definitely we are doing a quick Viva session. Okay. फटाफट से let's revise it. And Avni, since you have not even done the normal classes, very essential for you. Make sure that you participate in the same. Okay, Heath? Sure. Okay. Now, guys, we have two things, right? Yes, in Aquila, in zero rated invoice, tax invoice is issued, and I will tell you when we actually do zero rated supplies. Okay, chalo. फटाफट से आजा, my dear friends. We are talking about now debit note, credit note, debit note, credit note. Very important concept. आजा. Okay, friends. When I talk about debit note, understand that you always have to check the transaction both for debit note and for credit note from the standpoint of registered supplier. From the standpoint of registered supplier. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, sir. Okay. Very important. Very important. Okay. You have to understand the entire perspective from the end of registered supplier. Okay. Now, if as a registered supplier you will receive money from the recipient, if as a registered supplier you will receive money from the recipient, right? Then you will issue debit note. And when will that happen? When I've already supplied goods, I've already issued tax invoice, but the value that I've quoted in the tax invoice is much lesser than what I should have quoted. So I've quoted 1 lakh, but I should have quoted 5 lakhs. I have quoted 10,000 as the GST, but I should have quoted 50,000 as the GST. So I've undercharged you. I've undercharged the recipient to reinstate that. Government says that, okay, in that case, since supply has already been made, there is no new supply that is going. There is no new supply that is coming. Okay, in that case, my dear friends, okay, if you are basically issuing, issuing नहीं बोलूंगा, raising, okay, the claim amount for the same supply that you have done. For the same supply that you've already done. In that case, understand, my dear friends, you're supposed to issue debit note. You're supposed to issue debit note. Perfect? Yes. Next, my dear friends, what I want to talk about is basically credit note is basically credit note. Correct. Okay. So when I talk about credit note, my dear friends, the concept is very, very, very simple. Okay. Now, if there is a registered supplier, okay, he is supplying goods or service. Right, I have received the payment, but understand tomorrow when he sees the goods, he does not like it. So either he returns it back to me, right? Yeah, for example, in that case, the goods that I had sent. So I had sent 100 units, but only 50 units have reached. Let's say 50 units have evaporated or have got stolen, right? It did not reach the recipient, but the recipient has made the payment of 100 units, but he receives only 50. Okay. In that case, what he will tell me is that you have to return, I am returning your goods back, right? Sales return, I am returning your goods back, you return my money. I have not received only 50 units, but I have paid 100. Now, we will keep only 50 units the payment with you. 50, the extra payment that I've done, give it back to me. So, in all these cases, understand in credit note, you are basically, again, as a supplier, supposed to give money to the recipient. Okay, so here again, you will see it from the perspective of supplier only. Okay, supplier की perspective से देखो, that's it. You have to see it from the perspective of supplier. So here, whenever you have to give money to the recipient, you will issue credit note. So when will you give? When the opposite person does sales return. When the opposite person has received the goods or service in deficiency. And the third is, right, when supplier has overcharged you. So he has charged you 10 lakhs, but he was supposed to charge you 5 lakhs. He has charged you 1 lakh, but he was supposed to charge you 50,000. That's all. That's all. So understand that thing very well. Did you get it, guys? Did you get it? Perfect. So every time when supplier will have to give money to the recipient because of these three reasons, he will issue credit note. And by issuing credit note, I'll tell you how will his tax liability will be affected. So understand when he had done sales, he must have recorded his liability as what debtors to sales, correct? Debtors to sales to GST, right? So 11 lakh 80 debtors to sales 10 lakhs 1 lakh 80 GST. So GST liability arises when he makes the sales, right? When he supplies the goods. But when sales return happen and when I issue credit note, okay, I reverse that. I reverse that liability. Got it? Yes. So I will issue something like sales GST payable to debtors, not to cash back, whatever entry I passed earlier. Okay. So tax invoice increases the liability, credit note decreases the liability because now I have reversed that sales. The one that I recorded for 100 lakhs, I have now recorded for 50 lakhs net because 50 lakhs I have reversed because 50 lakhs the credit note I have issued. Got it? So tax invoice increases, credit note decreases. Tax invoice increases, credit note decreases. Got liability. That's it. Done. Also understand that I can take the benefit of reduction in my liability. Also understand that I can benefit the reduction of my liability only when I furnish the credit note in the return within time limit. And what is the time limit? Okay, 30th November of the next financial year or actual date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. Understand that the time limit to avail ITC, the time limit to avail the benefit of credit note by reducing my liability is the same. Okay, something that was 20th October is now stretched all the way to 30th November. 30th November of next financial year, 30th November of next financial year, or actual date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. Got it? This is an amendment, guys. So make sure that you all are well about this. This is an amendment. Okay, that's about it. So yeah, that's it, guys. Okay. Acha, also remember that a classic example of this where I overcharge people is post supply discount. Post supply discount. Acha, what do you mean by post supply discount? Post supply discount means that let's say on 1/4 you come to purchase goods from me, correct? And I tell you that listen, Akila, Akila, listen, Avni, listen, there is an offer going on. So right now I'm giving you 10 lakh worth of goods, but by this quarter end, let's say if you purchase goods worth rupees 50 lakhs, I will give you 50% cashback. I will give you 50% cashback. Okay. So what I'm doing is agree to avail you discount today. I'm agreeing that I will give you discount. I'm agreeing today that I will give you discount in future. I'm agreeing today that I will give you discount in future if you satisfy the condition that I have mentioned. Right? So basically, when the discount is agreed at the time of supply, the discount is agreed at the time of supply, but discount is allowed after supply and recipient reverses his right to receive, then in that case, understand supplier's liability will not be just at 100 lakhs. If he gives 50% cash back, his liability will now be judged at 50 lakhs, and it's on 50 lakhs where he is supposed to pay GST. Where he's supposed to pay GST. Is that very clear? Yes. So basically, you can reduce that discount component. Okay, that's it. तो बस यही करना था, यही बोलना था. That's all I wanted to tell. Okay, is that very clear, my dear friends? I will getting it. I will getting it. Okay, perfect. Okay, post supply discount is basically what, okay, is given to you as per section 15 3b. We will do this in value of supply. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay. Okay. Now understand that we are talking about, okay, this case study specifically with respect to expired goods. Okay. So when it comes to, my dear friends, case 2, sales return by issuing a credit note. Okay. Let's talk about that first. And then we will go to case 1. Okay. So here we are basically talking about all those goods that get expired after a certain time and then they need to get destroyed. Right? Are you all getting it? Are you all there? Akila, Avni, Smith, Heath, MS. Are you all there? Show me your hands up. Show me your hands up. Come on. Don't behave like that, people. Keep interacting, guys. Okay. Now understand. Sales return by issuing credit note. So what has happened is, right? There is a manufacturer. Manufacturer has purchased goods with rupees 5 lakhs, GST 50,000. Obviously, he will take the ITC. Right? Now, he sells after manufacturing the goods. Okay. And using this raw material, he makes RMX ka FGX and he sells that for 10 lakhs, GST 1 lakh. And obviously when he's selling goods, he's supplying. And if he's supplying, obviously he will issue tax invoice to the wholesaler. Wholesaler on the basis of that tax invoice will avail ITC of 1 lakh. Now what has happened is the goods have got expired and wholesaler was assured, a complete assurance was given by manufacturer. Okay, by him. A complete assurance was given by manufacturer to whom? To whom? To the wholesale. Okay. Manufacturer, okay, has given the assurance to the wholesaler. Manufacturer has given the assurance to wholesaler that wholesaler, don't you worry. Don't you worry. Right? whenever the goods expire, return it back to me. Return it back to me. I will take it. I will take it back and I will return your money. Don't you worry. So wholesaler did exactly the same. As soon as the goods got expired, he sent it back to the manufacturer. But understand, is he selling the goods back to manufacturer or is he sending? Selling or sending? Selling or sending? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. Selling or sending? Selling or sending? Sending. He is sending the goods. And which is why that will be accompanied, my dear friends, with delivery challan. DC is delivery challan. Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. This is expired goods are not exempted goods. My mistake. These are expired goods. Okay. So when you are sending the sales return goods back to the manufacturer, you will have to issue delivery challan. And as soon as you do sales return, the manufacturer, we just learned something in section 34, my dear friends, up above. We just learned that whenever manufacturer will have to land up repaying the money back to the recipient, either in case of sales return, goods or service received in deficiency, right? Then definitely in that case, the supplier will have to issue a credit note. Okay, so the opposite person will send me goods with delivery challan and I will send him credit note. The reason I will send you credit note is because now I will have to now show lesser sales and thereby lesser liability. Correct? Yes. Okay. Perfect. Now manufacturer has the expired goods with him. If he decides that the expired goods that he has got, he can use it no more, he cannot use it anywhere, and he has to eventually destroy it. Then in that case, okay, when he destroys those FGX, when he destroys that FGX, my dear friends, understand? Okay. If such expired goods, that is FGX, right? If he destroys that, then understand he will have to reverse ITC of RMX that he had used for making FGX, and that I'm talking about this 50,000. He will have to reverse it. He will have to reverse it. Tinadintha. Got it? Yes. Right. And why is that? Because he does not deserve that ITC. Why does he not deserve that ITC? Because obviously, what is the final transaction that has happened? He purchased RMX, he made FGX, and he has to destroy FGX. So basically, you are not able to generate any output tax out of the FGX, the input of which you have taken ITC for. Right? So you are taking ITC of an input, which eventually is getting destroyed. So you don't deserve the ITC because 17 subsection 5 block credit clearly blocks it. Did you all get this, guys? Did you all get this concept? People don't get this. People get confused here for some reason, but I think I've made myself very, very, very clear. The example itself is damn clear. Okay, I hope this is very clear. Akila, did you get it? MS, did you get it? Avni, did you get it? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, friends, we are basically talking about case 1. We are talking about case 1, my dear friends. We are talking about treating sales return as fresh supply. Treating sales return as fresh supply. Okay. Now understand. Now understand. Okay. The same sales return that I'm supposed to talk. Okay. The same sales return. Okay. That I was talking about here. Instead of sales return, it is considered as fresh supply. It is considered as fresh supply, and you will do this only when you have missed the deadline of credit note. So when you miss the deadline of credit note, that is अगले साल का next year का 30th November or annual return, whichever is earlier, understand, my dear friends, that is the time we will resort to this case. Where what is happening? Let's check. Manufacturer again supplies medicines, bills wholesaler, issues tax invoice, levies GST, 10 lakh, 1 lakh, 11 lakh. Now, my wholesaler trader, okay, who is basically under a normal scheme, right? He will take the ITC on the basis of the invoice and the receipt of goods. Okay, but again, what has happened is the goods have got expired, so we'll have to return it back. But now, when the goods are getting returned back, they are not treated as sales return, they are treated as fresh supply. They are treated as fresh supply. Fresh. Taja, taja supply. Taja, taja. Now understand, my dear friends, here, am I sending goods or am I selling goods? Am I sending goods or am I selling goods? I am selling goods. That's what I'm showing in the books of accounts. And when you sell, you don't issue delivery challan, you issue tax invoice. So I will levy GST on that, right? And if this manufacturer takes ITC on that and later if he destroys, then he will have to reverse ITC to the extent of 1 lakh. Got it. He will have to reverse the ITC to the extent of 1 lakh. So it's better he does not take ITC so that he does not even have to reverse the ITC later. Got it? Yes. Okay. So here he will reverse the ITC what he has recently availed because this guy has issued tax invoice. But in this game, understand, he will have to reverse the ITC of the input that he had purchased for making these finished goods. So that is the only difference in the first case. Correct? In the second case, let's say, for example, wholesaler happens to be a compo taxpayer. In that case, again, if he treats it as fresh supply, he will have to issue bill of supply. And at the same time, whatever value at which he is supplying, he will also have to pay 1% GST on that because that is the rate of compo taxpayer pays the tax. Right? Obviously, recipient will not get any ITC because he is not charging GST to the manufacturer because a compo taxpayer cannot charge. Correct? And the last is okay, unregistered person when he does fresh supply to the manufacturer. Understand, he is an unregistered supplier. He is not registered under GST. That is why he cannot charge GST. That is why he will not charge GST. And that is why, understand, he will only issue a commercial invoice. Okay, that's it. Okay, and obviously, recipient will also not put the ITC for the same. Okay, that's all I wanted to tell. That's all I wanted to tell with respect to okay treatment when it came to expired goods. One was sales return and one was fresh supply. Okay, so possibly what they will ask you is two things: the documents to be issued at specific junctures. Okay, sometimes it's delivery challan, sometimes it's tax invoice, sometimes it's bill of supply, sometimes it's commercial invoice. And the second thing that, and sometimes it's credit note, right? And the second thing that they can possibly ask is that uh, with respect to manufacturer, that what kind of ITC is he reversing? Is he reversing the ITC? Okay, that he is just availed on the basis of invoice that is issued by wholesaler to manufacturer, or is he reversing the ITC of his inputs that he has used to actually make that FG, which is expired and which is now destroyed, right? So make sure that you are very categorically clear in that. Only then will you able to write it. I have made sure that I have written that aspect in the sentence, right, in a very clear fashion, right, so that you can also write down whenever it's asked in the exam. Okay, perfect. That is the best I could have done. And yeah, that makes sense, guys. That makes sense. Okay, perfect. And now finally, guys, we are now understand. Okay, left with just two concepts: e-invoice, dynamic QR code. E-invoice and dynamic QR code. Okay, we will quickly wrap through this, my dear friends. Okay, because the expected questions that come from here is two, three. One is the eligibility, one is the exemption, and yeah, that's it. That's it. I feel okay. Which are the cases where you are eligible to issue e-invoice, and which are the cases where you are exempted from issuing e-invoice? That's the only thing that you need to basically learn here from. And I feel, yeah, that's more than enough. And that's it. That's it. That's it. Okay. Perfect. So, guys, fatafat se. E-invoice, firstly, my dear friends, okay, is an invoice that you are raising. Okay. E-way bill is different. E-invoice is different. E-invoice is basically the invoice that you are raising to the recipient, but not in the physical form, right? But in a possibly, okay, in a system form, right? Where you are generating the invoice in the tally, you will create that into, you will convert that into a JSON file. That JSON file will then be uploaded in the e-invoice portal, right? And the e-invoice portal will process it. And as soon as it processes it, it will then come up with e-invoice, which will have three things. One is the QR code, one is the signed by the representative of department, and the third most important thing is IRN, invoice reference number. Once again, invoice reference number. Understand? It's very important that the invoice reference number is visible on invoice. The invoice reference number is visible on the invoice, because if it is not visible on the invoice, if it is not visible on the invoice, then understand, my dear friends, then understand, my dear friends, you cannot avail ITC of that. You cannot avail ITC of that. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. So it's very pertinent to note that the e-invoice that you have, it has IRN on that. If it does not have IRN, you cannot avail ITC. This is a question asked in interCA. Very important question. People have missed judging this question correctly. And a similar question can be asked in final CA, because it is something that generally goes out of people's perspectives. Correct? Yes. Okay. Uh, what? Who are the people to whom e-invoice is applicable? Very simple. All the way from 1718 up till now. Okay, 23, 24. In any financial year, so 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 21, 21, 20, okay, up till now, in any financial year, particular financial year, okay, if you have exceeded 10 crores, okay, though the practical limit is 5 crores, but for you it is 10 crores only, okay, because there is no amendment given there. So 10 crores, okay, if it exceeded 10 crores, then you are supposed to issue invoice. You are supposed to issue invoice, period. Period. Okay. ठीक. Also understand that you will issue e-invoice only in case of B2B supplies that include exports. So B2C supplies, e-invoice not required, e-invoice not required, but B2B, yes required, B2B, yes required. Okay, perfect. So that is one thing that you need to really be clear about. Next is exemption from e-invoice, right? So special economic zone units exempted है. But understand, special economic zone developers still have to issue e-invoice. So units are basically, for example, let's say if there is an SEZ, okay, in Mumbai, but that SEZ is developed by Adani Limited. But let's say, okay, in that SEZ, most of there are, okay, IT players. There's TCS, there's Infosys, there's HCL. So SEZ unit will be all the IT companies. An SEZ developer will be the person who has developed the entire SEZ, who's developed the entire infrastructure ecosystem of that SEZ. Right? Perfect. Next is obviously insurance, banking, financial institutions, including NBFC, GTA, providing transportation of goods service, any person who's supplying transportation of passenger service, multiplexes, okay, government departments and local bodies. Okay, government departments and local bodies are recently amended ones which have been added, but I hope you all understand. These are the people who are not required to issue e-invoice, even though their turnover exceeds up now 10 crores. And also the fact, right, that even though their turnover exceeds 10 crores, they make B2B supplies, doesn't matter. They're not required to issue e-invoice. Okay, perfect. Next, my dear friends. Yes, it's amended from 20 to 10 better. Yes. Okay. Advantages, yeah, I mean, there's no, understand, understand what happens is that as soon as e-invoice is generated, what happens is that directly your GSTR1 gets filled to that extent. Your e-way bill is also generated in case you also fill in the details of vehicle while you are actually making the invoice, right? So both of these things automatically happen, right? Correct. Got it? So understand, if GSTR1 has been filed, directly recipient will get its entry in GSTR2. His e-way bill is issued. Again, the same data need not be replicated. What used to happen initially, GSTR1, I have to file a separate entry. E-way bill, I have to separately generate it. So the more duplication of work, the more I have to, type things, and the more there are chances of error, because the more there is a human involvement in it. Got it? Correct. And which is why there is auto reporting of GST return, that is auto generation of e-way bill. There is substantial reduction in transcription errors because there is no human element involved. Early payment because recipient directly receives the invoice. He can see it in his 2B. Cost reduction, improved efficiency, and elimination of fake invoice. Because understand, now you cannot backdate those invoices. Once they are registered on the GST portal, the record is recorded once and for all with the government portal. Now you cannot change anything with respect to the invoices that have been generated. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. That's it. Next, friends, I wanted to talk about, okay, is, अच्छा ये भी देख लो, situations in which e-invoices are applicable. So e-invoices are applicable in B2B, in exports. Okay. In all other cases, understand it is not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. ठीक है? Yes. अच्छा, dynamic QR code. What is dynamic QR code? So understand, my dear friends, a lot of times you must have seen that when you scan a certain QR code, sometimes you have to punch in the number and then you have to make the payment. And in some cases, that amount that you're supposed to pay directly auto populates. You don't have to punch in. It directly auto populates. Now, in the later case where it directly auto populates, now that QR code is actually a dynamic QR code where you don't have to punch in a number. Whatever amount you're supposed to pay, it's already there. All you have to do is just make the payment now. Put the pin and make the payment, right? That is a dynamic QR code. Now, that QR code has to be on the invoice. Whenever a person makes B2C, 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 E-invoice B2B, dynamic QR code B2C, E-invoice B2B, dynamic QR code B2C. Got it? B2C. Where your aggregate turnover exceeds 500 crores. ऊपर 10 करोड़, यहाँ पे 500 crores. Okay? Correct. And only happens in B2C supplies. Right? Perfect. Now, if in that case, understand, if you happen to supply, if you are a supplier and you happen to supply to UIN holders like UN or foreign embassies or multilateral financial institutions, understand those UIN people, unique identification people, right? We will do more of this, okay, in registration chapter. Understand, they are all considered as B2C supplies. They are not a registered person, right? They're not a registered person, and hence it is a B2C supply. And definitely in that situation, you will have to have a QR code on your invoice, and you have to comply with the dynamic QR code wale cases. Okay? Perfect. On applicability, trust me, the first four that you have, insurance company, GTA wala case, supplier of transportation of passenger service, and multiplex. Same as dynamic QR code is applicable in e-invoice, right? But here the last one is supplier of OIDAR services, giving OIDAR services where you are outside India and the recipient who is an unregistered person in India. So these are the people who are actually covered here, guys. Okay. Whereas wahan pe, if you realize, there we have government department, local bodies. Simple. Okay. But here we have OIDAR wale cases. Here government and local bodies are not covered. Okay. Perfect. So that's it, guys. That is where we end our entire discussion with respect to tax invoice, debit note, credit note. Tax invoice, debit note, credit note. Right? I would really urge and want you to go through all the module wale examples. If you are done with all the module wale examples and the questions, trust me, you are genuinely preparing for a 75 mark. Are you getting it? Yes. You're actually going ahead with that. Okay. Acha. Tomorrow, understand, we will be doing value of supply, right? We will be doing value of supply, and value of supply might be of a longer session, right? And the reason I'm saying that it might be for longer session because we will be also doing sums in that case. Okay. So it might be a longer session, but it will be worth it, right? So value of supply is a very important chapter, always asked in the exam, because without that you cannot form a sum. Understand? Value of supply, ITC, supply exemptions. These are very important chapters, right? So make sure that you are there. Okay. There are few questions that we will be discussing. Okay, and a few questions I will be giving you as homework. Please do it. And yeah, looking forward to it, guys. I hope this revision really helped you. And real request, Avni, Akila, MS, right? Smith, Heath, please take out some time and comment. Please comment. Smith, please comment. Heath, please comment. Avni, please take out your precious time and comment. If you genuinely feel that I'm helping you, please comment, guys. Okay, it genuinely makes a hell lot of a difference to me. And anyone and everyone who's going to watch this video, please comment, guys. Please like the video. It means the world to me, right? It means the world to me. Understand that. Okay, if I am helping you in a certain way, this is the least I feel you can give me, okay, in return. Please do that. Okay, especially on all those videos that you have, seen. It means the world to me, guys. Okay. Thank you, guys. Tomorrow, again at 6:30, right? Please tell your friends we will be doing value of supplies with few sums. It will give you super confidence of what will be asked in value of supply. And then all you have to do is just solve sums of module and be good at it. And make sure that if we are wrapping up a session at 8:30 or 9:30, you stretch till, let's say, 11:30 or 12. Give that 3-4 hours, but wrap up that. If you do that, understand, you are making the best use of the most unproductive time of a C aspirant, and you are wrapping up things there. So even if you are giving group 1, you still go for IDT because you can easily score an exemption here. So even if you are giving group 1, group 2, you're not giving, fill up the form and just give IDT. So the first 3 exams you go, you write 1 hour paper, you come back, and final paper and IDT you study for the next 6-7 days and score a good 70-75, आराम से आ जाए. So that next attempt you have to only give 3 papers, and that too what? Understand? And not 3 papers, actually only 2 papers then. If costing तो निकल रहा है, right? So all I will tell you is that make the most of it. Make the most of the effort that I am putting in. Okay? So that's a lot, guys. Okay, thanks a lot. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed this and hope you all made some thing out of this. Adios amigos, hasta la vista. Okay. Have a nice day. Good night.